It's a new day, Saturday. I didn't want to get out of bed. It was a good day to sleep in. It's been a while since I've put together any kind of video, and you'll see there's a Christmas tree behind me. We've been through Thanksgiving, and the truth is I've started putting together content and just never assembled it. It's been an absolute whirlwind with new jobs and other responsibilities and things that are going on. I have been working on some pretty cool projects. I've been renovating some of my basement, partly driven by my new job and kind of wanting a new start after 6.5 years. So there's some of that. And as a side effect, I've started actually building out the studio, music as well as podcasts on my mind. The band continues to play. It's one of the things that I didn't change. And largely, that was sort of a surprise. I thought that would be actually one of the things that I would adjust based on time. But, well, one, it's good to see my friends consistently. And two, it's a great outlet. So what I find questionable about questionable behavior is Jim mutes us all while he goes to use the can. You believe that? I don't believe that. That sounds questionable. My family's doing good. Everybody's busy in their activities as well. And at the end of the year and going into the first quarter of next year, some of my commitments will reduce, and hopefully I'll have some additional time and capture some new things, most notably exercise regimes and things of this nature, which may seem kind of boring, but I'm venturing to guess there are more people out there like me that are interested in a number of things, have serviceable hearts, and find themselves not necessarily paying attention to their physical, more paying attention to mind, spirit, things like this. And it's so easy in today's society just to forget yourself. So hopefully that'll be some interest to others as well. I'm getting reinterested in a company called GoRuck, and that will be part of the conversation. This last year I sort of enjoyed doing moto camping again. I did it in Sturgis with friends, and I'm hoping next year brings more of that. Let's get at it. While we're in the garage, we'll take a little visit here to Lucy, who's going to be the war bike, and take a look at the bag on the sissy bar. Right now, I've got a GoRuck Bullet Ruck attached to the bike, and I love these bags. We've talked about them before. They're water resistant, excellent rucksacks, but what I've noticed is a lot of the bikers use dry bags, and I kind of like the look of that. There's a classic look. When we're done with the build over there, it will definitely have one. And I think that's what I'm going to use on this too. It'll free up the ruck for a get out or a bug out bag, and maybe can use it for doing some of my exercises as well. I do have a green one in the house that's got a weight in a water bladder. But the other benefit is, when somebody sees a ruck like this, I can't help but think that it might be a temptation to go through it, whereas dry bag, maybe not so much. And if you've never seen a dry bag, looking back at my truck, this right here is what I'm talking about. So we'll get rid of my boots, but before I do, you'll notice I've laced them up with paracord. That's a great way to have a little bit extra kit on you at all times. I'm a big fan and advocate of making sure you have a winter kit in case you break down, especially if you're in the country like I am. In the plastic ammo crate, I've got some basic tools. In the foot locker, I've got a bit more gear that's not extremely convenient to get into, but if I needed it, it's there. Up in the front portion, I've got some of my metal detecting gear, and I've also got a snow shovel. But we're interested in this bag, and I'll show some of the benefits of a dry bag. And we'll put my kukri back. So the benefit behind the dry bag is just like what it sounds like. It keeps its contents dry. And I'm going to release. There's actually a trick to this, and it's hard to do one-handed. There we go. And it releases up the sides. If I stand it up and peer down into the bag, in true Road Warrior fashion, I have clothes. So enough to keep me clothed for a couple of days, and some extra layers in case there's a breakdown to keep me warm. This is a bigger dry bag. They make all kinds of different sizes. They're great for clothes. Bigger ones are great for tents and sleeping bags. So many of the old choppers and things of this nature have these types of bags on them, bungeed to the sissy bar. So I think that's the direction we're going to go in. I believe this is either a 20 or a 30 liter bag. I'm going to have to double check that, but I think that's maybe about the right size for trips on that particular bike. It's definitely the size I'll use on the famine bike if I ever take it camping. So when I opened it up, you couldn't see how I had clothes arranged, but there's a trick to that too, and I'll show you some of the tricks that I use when we get into the house. I've been on a kick lately to try to leave things better than I found them, and I've been going through some things, so let's go take a look at some of my Harley t-shirts. So we're taking a look at some of my t-shirts to consolidate, and this one is kind of an older one. Came from my first trip to South Dakota on the first Sportster in 2015. It's sentimental, so it's going to be retired from use and be hung up on the walls in the barn. But it's a good prop to demonstrate a Ranger roll. And here we've got another dry bag, smaller than the one that was in the truck. This size would be good for tools, might be good for underwear and socks. I like to subcompartmentalize my bags a lot of times, so smaller bags and bigger bags. Anyway, we're going to put this t-shirt in there so I can carry it out to the barn. And I'm going to demonstrate a method called a Ranger roll. That if you served for this country, and if so, I'll tell you thank you immediately. You may know how to do this, but a lot of bikers do this to save room in their saddlebags or in bags like this. And the first step is I'm going to cuff up the bottom on both sides. And we're going to go up about a third of the way of the shirt. Then I'm going to turn it. And I'm going to go in about 1/3 this direction. Clean it up a little bit. Come back and do the same on the other side. I'm going to try to square up the ends so that I can do a nice and tight, clean roll. So the cuff is down here. I'm rolling towards the cuff. The tighter this is, the more space I'll end up saving. I'm just going to roll over the cuff, and then down underneath it, the bottom part of the cuff comes up. I keep rolling, and I stuff the shirt into it as if it's like a little bag. And now I've got a nice contained shirt that I can put into the bag, and it's only taking up a little bit of space. And on these dry bags, they roll a couple times before you can close them off. And there you have it. With the help of my friend Jim, we've got the camper all hitched back up to the truck, but we noticed since it's been sitting for 2 years that the tires were low. So what are we doing now? Say hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
This one was really low. What was it at? About 25, and we need to be at 65?
Yeah.
Ah, yes. So we'll check these out. Right there is quite the ordeal for the faint of heart. And well, we're gonna take it easy. We got it up to about 55 before the gas station pump crapped out. So gonna head up to a truck stop in St. Charles. Got the camper back at the house. And this is where we've got it positioned for those that were kind of wondering where it would go. Right outside the barn. I don't have the slides out, but have a nice little area, including my cooking table and a camp stove. And I think what I'm gonna do is pick up, I've got electrical over there, but I'm gonna have to have somebody put in an outlet appropriate for the camper. And I think I'm gonna pick up a generator, a small one to carry with the camper. Now we're actually winterizing. The first step is to unplug these main lines to let the water out so that we can push the antifreeze through the system. On my model, it's right under the shower and water heater, next to the waste lines, right up there. Another important tip, I happen to have an electrical line at my house where I'm going to store things for the winter, but when you're hooking up your electrical, make sure that you have a circuit broke before you plug your line into your camper. Once the connection is solid, go ahead and flip the breaker. Next step is we're working with the valves in the camper, and we're going to try to let the excess water leak out. So I'm going to start by turning that on, and then that on. Here's a pro tip too. Behind the TV, if I swing it out, there's an amplify button for the antenna. So for years, we haven't been able to figure out why we didn't get better reception. It's because we didn't know about the boost, and it's behind the TV. So Mom, it gets like 20 channels. Same thing with the bathroom. We'll get into the shower. Same thing with the shower. And also with the toilet. Hopefully you could hear that gurgle gurgle. That's what we're after. All right, so now I'm putting the plugs back. By the way, there is another one of these plugs down at the other end of the camper for the fresh water tank. Yeah. Okay, so for this camper, I don't have a pump to bring the antifreeze through the system other than to bring it through the fresh water tank and use the pump to take it from there. So we're gonna dump some antifreeze, RV antifreeze, into here, and then I'll be right back. We have put 10 gallons of RV antifreeze, it's that pink stuff, into the freshwater tank. And now we're gonna go into the camper and hit the faucets and run it through the system. Hi, Zachy. Zach thinks this is his new house. I forgot a step. Got to get into the water heater. I don't have a bypass, and we didn't empty it either, so that's not super. So we're gonna do some magic here. So there's the vent. You want to do that before pulling that plug to relieve pressure in the water heater. An ideal time to do this part is when I was down below and showing the two plugs that I pulled on the hot and cold water outlets. You want this open at that point. But we'll be okay. And now I'm going to go after the plug. We're going to pull this plug out. And that's what we forgot, and that's why we need to do it, because you'll notice all the clear water. We're trying to pump the antifreeze through, so this is now coming out to make room. And then we'll end up losing 5 gallons of the antifreeze that we put into the water tank to the water heater.
And he's got big balls, and she's got big balls, but we've got the biggest balls of them all.
If you're a new viewer and you're like, my God, this guy is everywhere, that's right. You know, I break YouTube rules. A lot of the folks will tell you to focus on one thing. I don't do that because my life's not like that. So, that's going to be it for this episode. It's been a while, and I am sorry. But you should see content coming through the channel more regularly now. Typical fashion, it's been a very eclectic video. I hope you've enjoyed it. And now that we're getting into winter, we're back at bike building. Almost done with the famine bike. Got to get it on the road next year. So, in the meantime, I hope you've been doing what I always say, and I'll continue to say, remember to see the beautiful things that are around you every day.